You mentioned a couple of times, and proudly so, and I echo the pride, the awards that have been won over the years by your briefing program. From your executive view, what makes the programs so really truly world class?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I'm always, looking at it. I would say, first of all, from the very top down, from our chairman and CEO all the way through the organisation, there's an understanding that customer experience is the most important thing, right? So, from the second that we have a nomination for a briefing where the field says we would like to bring somebody to Houston, there is just incredible focus on the details of what will make that briefing successful, right? And all parts of the value chain need to be considered, not just when they arrive, but, and you know this, right? If you go to an event and you have a bad travel experience or a bad car experience, a bad food experience, that the whole briefing will be bad, right? And before and after. So everybody in that process has to understand that the customer comes first. The customer experience is the number one thing. The second thing is the operational element of doing that only comes alive if you have good people. And talking about it now, I get a little, there's a little bit of pride because it's all part of whether they're BMCers or our, our trusted vendors that we work with in this process. We have to individually take pride in that customer experience. And I think the folks that I have in the briefing centre, they're awesome. I wouldn't swap any of them out. I hope they're not going to listen to this. They're absolutely off the charts. Number one at their profession, number one in their field, and they do know that 10 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, we've had lost passports, missing people, sick people, people that have suffered severe illnesses, and we've had to look after, and all parts of the process have had to look up. My folks go above and beyond when they do that. We seriously focus on the content. We seriously focus on the people that we use in front of the customers. They're not allowed. This is not accidental, right? You do not. I'm not going to put all this investment into running a briefing program, then at the last minute just throw someone in front of a customer. Right? They have to be trained, they have to be certified, they have to go through a process to get the privilege. And by the way, the people in the field fight to be in the briefing centre because they know that everybody looks at it as the mecca of what you can achieve in BMC in front of being in front of those customers. That Mr. Beecham and the executive team says the briefing program helps, so therefore they want to do it. I would also say that that just generally there is an acceptance, and I know I started with this from the top down. If you don't have executive sponsorship in your program, and we get that from the chairman and CEO, but we have a person, myself, that sits at the executive leadership team level that owns the briefing program. It's not 4 levels down in sales. It's not on some periphery and seen as a stepchild over here. It is part of the management team. It is mainstream. If we want a market message to be tested, a new initiative to be played out, it goes there first. That's how important we see. And we see the voice of the customer, which is a program that we run through the EBC, is the way that we take that message back. I have to report monthly to the leadership team. These are the trends we're seeing from customers. Because if you're pitching, AAA, and the customer comes in and goes ZZZ, is it Z or Z? ZZZ, then you better change. You better get things right, or you're going down a rat hole basically. So
talking faster and louder doesn't solve that problem, right?
Yeah, I echo your pride. I mean, the program itself, it stands alone as world class outside of BMC, but in BMC it's seen as first class. It's definitely held in that regard.
Well, you guys chose to work with us 5 years ago, maybe 6 at this point in time, and it's been a thrill ride for us.
Yes.
And I am equally thrilled that it's been so profitable for you. What have you gotten from Mandel that's made a real difference for the briefing program?
Wow. How long have we got?
What a nice thing to say.
First of all, personally. So I got given the job. Right, and I didn't really know what I was being given. I knew how great the program was. I actually got interviewed in Lisbon, in Portugal, by our then SVP of Sales and our Chairman and CEO, and I got offered the job. And so, facilitation to me was Okay, I'm going to host a session and, let my personality do its thing. And I learned to be a facilitator. And I now know and understand, and I think the most important role in any briefing is that facilitation role. The gel that brings the briefing together, and the process that you have taught us to go through to be a facilitator was changed me personally, but I know how critical it is to our program. We have very few people in the company that can do it. Not trying to talk about myself in any particular way, but it's a unique skill, but it's a skill that can be taught. So we have taken what you deliver through facilitation. We now make every person that fits that role go through that training, compulsory. That's one. So that person to me was huge. Even before I came to the program, I've been a user of SciPab. So when I was out in the field and writing content, I'm hoping that people understand what SciPab is, but situation, complication, implication, position, action, benefit, right? I have it down pat. and when I talk about anything, I'm thinking in my head, it's just natural now. It comes when I do it. So when I see the content, when I see it being delivered, when I'm actually facilitating, or when I see it before the briefing occurs, if it doesn't follow the flow, it doesn't come in. So we use the process through building the content and delivering the content. Mandel training is compulsory for any individual that wants to be a discussion facilitator. You are not allowed to stand up in front of a customer until you've been certified by you. Although we don't take any rankings from when you put people through the training, we then ask them to present our content back to a small committee of people before we can say, tick, you're in, or cross, you're out.
So they have to stand and deliver, basically.
Correct.
Yep.
And we're testing at the same time their knowledge of content, but more importantly, their delivery. And I would say probably the final thing is the level of professionalism that's just given the whole program. If you think about what we do, and I've talked about some of the red carpet silver service you get around working with the EBC, but when you're in the room, when you're actually in the room, it has to be raised 10 notches from what happens before they get there. When they sit down, they're going to critique every word that comes out of your mouth, everything they see on the screen. From that point on, if you're not switched on, and if you don't capture them in my opening, or whoever doing it is being the facilitator, and you can't carry that through the day, why do it? Why do it? So, and that's why we have, I guess it's close to a 95% close rate. I think we reduce the sales cycle by a third. We're very close to what the industry trends are, and I think the average deal increases by close to 45% when they come through the briefing program.
That is terrific.
It's amazing numbers.
Great information, Jason. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Some point in time, the next week or two or three, I'll be showing this videotape to our folks around the world. Could I ask you just to say a word to them? There's people in Asia, there's people in India, there are people in EMEA, there's a bunch in the US, and they are so thrilled that you would spend any time with me.
Okay. No problem, my pleasure.
Would you mind just saying something to them as the voice of the customer?
Yeah, sure. Well, first off, I want to thank your organisation before we get started. Like I said, I got involved just over 2.5 years ago in the briefing program, and I was told about Mandel. You are one of the most important elements in the delivery of what is an extremely successful program for BMC. So I appreciate your folks go above and beyond every day, and they're brilliant. When we have them here and they're training our people, it's always seen as one of the most valuable training courses that our folks actually go through. The second thing that I'd like to say is always looking for new ways of doing things, right? Always looking at new ways of being successful. So when we challenged you around telepresence, you delivered, right? You gave us an executive training course and a process that makes telepresence actually work, because it's not a briefing, right? It's like watching a TV screen.
It's different. Yeah.
So when we challenged your organisation, you've done a phenomenal job of stepping up and coming to the party for us. So thank you for that as well. The voice of the customer, I would say as a Mandel client, there's probably right now, apart from the people I have, there's no stronger or better investment that I make with any external vendor than there is with Mandel. I mean, I know that might sound like loose words right now on a video, but I can tell you if you want to come and see the results, then the proof's in the pudding, right? I mean, we have, and I'm hoping some of my New Zealand slang works here. The proof is in the show. We run a process that's really tight, and it wouldn't be if we didn't and couldn't rely on help from your organisation. So, appreciate that.
Jason, this has been so valuable for me. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.